Norman Lamb, thank you for coming in the Mini on this very hot day
It's an enormous pleasure. Whether I'm going to survive, we will see.
To begin with, we're a fair way into this Lib Dem leadership contest now. Not many of the general public will have been watching it. I'm sure you're aware that they'll have been getting on with their lives, as people tend to do with politics, and they might begin to take an interest in the final few weeks. For those who haven't been watching it, what's your elevator pitch? What's your sort of top line of what the point of your candidacy is?
I suppose my argument is that in very many respects this is a liberal age, particularly young people who have liberal instincts, attitudes, values, open, internationalist, dynamic, believing in opportunity for all, and yet predominantly those people who have liberal values don't identify themselves with the Lib Dems, so we've failed to connect with them. And our task, as it were, really is to manage to reach out to those people.
Do you think that the Liberal Democrat election campaign had some criticisms? Obviously, Paddy Ashdown, who's a great Liberal leader of the past, ran that campaign. There have been rumours going around that Paddy wasn't listening to some of the criticisms of that campaign. Do you think there were some problems with your election campaign?
Well, I don't put the blame on any individual, certainly not Paddy, but I think that if I can think through the sort of causes of the sort of perfect storm that hit us in May, first of all, this was an election driven by fear. Many people said to me on the doorstep, including in my own constituency of North Norfolk, we love having you as our MP, we want to keep you, but we're really scared. And that emotion just sort of flooded through England, and it was very, very powerful. People, I thought that Miliband wasn't as toxic as Gordon Brown as we ran up to the election. It proved that he was more toxic, actually. But we made our mistakes as well. We lost trust, which is critical to a political party. Once you lose trust, people stop listening to you. And I think we stopped talking about our purpose, what our mission was. So we defined ourselves in relation to others. When we said we'll cut less than the Tories and borrow less than Labour, it sort of felt like, well, we're a bit less bad than one and a bit less bad than the other.
You could almost say you're an apologist for the coalition, the Liberal Democrats role. You know, obviously you've been less critical of the role in the coalition that your party played than Tim Farron has. Would you go into coalition with the Conservatives or Labour again?
So, look, we are a pluralist party. The one thing I am not is a sort of tribal politician. My purpose...
You're not tribal Liberal Democrat?
No, I'm not. I have very strong liberal values, but my purpose, my mission as a politician has to be to make a difference to people's lives. And you only do that by securing power. Securing power to disperse power and to apply liberal values. So, first of all, I will always defend our decision to go into coalition. That's not to say we didn't make big mistakes. I've already said that we did. But to close off the idea of coalition would be madness for a liberal party that believes in pluralist politics.
One thing that the position that's differed you with Tim Farron is about some of his views on abortion and gay rights. Do you think someone with traditional Catholic values, Christian values, could lead the Liberal Democrats?
This is absolutely not about the idea of a Christian being a leader of a political party. Of course that should be the case, and it's the only issue is a debate about liberal values and inevitably you're voting.
And do you see a conflict there between those two things?
Well, inevitably both of our voting records have been in debate in this election. Some people condemn me because I stepped up to the plate in the coalition, and if you are in government you can't make a judgment to vote against certain things. You take it or leave it.
Also on coalition, what was the biggest mistake you think that the Lib Democrats made in the last government?
So losing trust over tuition fees, and you can debate the whole sort of course of events that led to that. The signing of the pledge, which I think was a mistake, to the point where the decision was taken by those negotiating the coalition deal to in effect agree to the rise in tuition fees. But that broke people's trust. And as I said earlier, once you do...
Do you think that can ever be recovered?
Oh, yes, of course it can. And people make mistakes in life, and when you make mistakes, you have to face up to it. You have to apologise and recognise the failure and critically learn from it. I think also, if you look at our performance in coalition, I think we achieved some great things, particularly the people premium, cutting tax for people on low pay, pensions reforms in a very liberal direction, my work on mental health. These all speak to our values, and we implemented for the first time in the post-war period liberal values in government. But I don't think we were nearly clear enough at the start that this was a sort of business-like professional relationship. We were acting in the national interest, but this was two very different parties working in the national interest, but negotiating for the things that both parties believed in, and I think we weren't clear enough.
And finally, if you're not successful in this leadership contest, would you serve on Tim Farron's team?
Look, it's up to Tim to make a judgment if that's the outcome of this race, but I won't seek in any way to undermine Tim's leadership.
But if he came to you with an offer and said, would you do the Home Affairs?
We're not going to operate in that way. I think it's with a party of 8, we have to be much more fluid, much more flexible than that. But I will play my part in the Lib Dems. I'm not going to walk away. I will play my part.
So you would take on a public role representing the party if you were asked?
Yeah.